Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. I'm going to cover some of the details that surround this new round of funding that came to Ripple in the last 24 hours. This is a $200 million round of funding. It's a Series C round, and I think it's important to kind of take a look at the big picture so you really understand where they are in their growth. So according to Crunchbase, prior to this particular round in the last 24 hours, they had 13 prior rounds of funding, 4 of which were led by different investors. IDG was one from Beijing, and then, of course, SBI Holdings from Japan. They had led the round that was 55 million back in 2016. Santander in their London office also was a lead investor, as well as one of the first core innovation capital located in San Francisco. So this new round, which is 200 million, and according to Masari, it now totals a grand total of 292 million that has been raised. It's a Series C, and it was led by the public New York investment company called Tetragon. Well, along with Tetragon, the two companies, SBI Holdings from Japan and also a Virginia-based venture capital firm, Route 66, participated. So the Tetragon company is interesting. It's a close-ended investment company. And the reason why I bring that up is because close-ended investment companies are fairly rare. And you can see here that they invest in a broad range of assets, including bank loans, real estate, equities, credit, convertible bonds, private equity, infrastructure, etc. So with each round of funding, I'm sure you know that the original owners or investors have to give up a little bit of the company. I think Mr. Kitao of SBI was not interested in that at all. He is very keen to keep his 10% or even increase it. We will probably find out a closer breakdown as to how that 200 million was raised. But only reason why I say that is because SBI is a public company, but we just don't have the exact breakdown right now. Okay, these close-ended companies, their shares trade on exchanges or in over-the-counter markets. So like a stock, the share price is determined by the pressures of supply and demand rather than by the value of underlying assets. So they make money on buying and selling other companies. You can see here the NAV, which is a net asset value, that was calculated the 30th of September 2019 was approximately $2.3 billion. That number is achieved by taking the value of assets minus the value of liabilities and dividing that by the outstanding shares. So if we just take a look at what they're trading at, I brought a kind of a long view for you. It is $12.31 at close. And I think this goes back to 2009, no, April 2008. So that has their trading history there right in front of you. And you can also, this is kind of interesting, they have had a year-to-date return of 8.2%. 5 years annualized has been 10.9%. The last 10 years annualized is 19.3%. Since the IPO, annualized 11% return, and since the IPO, 276% gain. So people who got in early, I think, were quite fortunate. All right, if I take you to the company called Route 66, they're interesting because they are focusing on high growth opportunities at any stage of a company's life cycle. And they seek equity investments in the fintech and or services, the fintech services space. So companies and ideas bent on changing the way the world does business is something that gets their attention. Their typical minimum investment is $1 million. But for secured debt facilities, that would be something that has it backed by collateral. They typically provide up to 30 million in financing. So they have quite a range. Now, Masari updated their website today, and this is from about, 15 hours ago. They say that the new value of Ripple makes them the second most valuable company in the industry behind Bitmain. And the investment is believed to expedite the company's ability to onboard new global talent and boost the adoption of XRP and Ledger. That actually comes from the Ripple explanation. So if you add the sales of XRP as revenue, then there's a total of 1.5 billion that Ripple has raised since 2012. Ripple is now tied for the 18th most valuable startup in the world, according to Masari. All right, Series C rounds. Well, for the most part, these rounds are for businesses that are already quite successful. So why they do these types of funding rounds could be to develop new products. It could be to expand into new markets. It could be also to acquire other companies. The Series C funding is focused on scaling the company, growing it as quickly as possible. And yes, it is sometimes used to boost valuations in anticipation for an IPO. But it's my opinion that is not the case for this round, because most often the valuations that are going to IPO are in the area of like 100 million. So companies that do continue on will go for a Series D funding and tend to do that final push for an IPO. That is just my opinion. And of course, anything is possible. Even a reverse merger is possible, where they are going to go public through acquiring a company that's already public. So we just don't know. And I'm not a big speculator. Of course, I like to think about these things because that is, I think, critical thinking, and that's important. But I'm not here to really speculate. So reading from the Ripple announcement today, I have an area that is highlighted that I want to point out. And you can see this is the Tetragon, the SBI Holdings, the Route 66 Ventures. And the reason why Ripple cites these three are because they have an invaluable industry insight and expertise to help Ripple's business grow on a global scale. And also, finally, the investment will expedite the company's onboarding of new global talent to meet the market demands and better serve its growing community of customers and partners. I really do think this was the purpose of the round of funding, but there's going to be a lot of talk out there. I'm positive for that. All right, so I do need to say, though, that SBI just didn't stop at Ripple today. They also invested in Bourse Stuttgart Group, zeroing in on Europe and Asia, including Japan, to create a truly global end-to-end ecosystem for digital assets utilizing blockchain technology. This is a huge announcement also, and it should be noted that the Bourse Stuttgart company is also the stock exchange in Germany, second largest in the country, ninth largest in Europe. Oh my gosh, it just amazes me what Mr. Kitao is up to. I can just show you, this is the photograph of their exchange. Okay, so back to Ripple. Fortune and Forbes both had big articles, and well, Forbes focused in on the 4% gain that XRP had, and Fortune focused on the customer base that is expected to grow 30 to 40% in 2020, and the transaction volume on the RippleNet network, which will increase by more than 600%. These are both quotes from Mr. Garlinghouse in an interview that he gave Fortune. So he said that the transfers to Mexico that are occurring for MoneyGram have risen to 15%. That's the first time I have seen this number. And also they are testing transfers of the Brazilian real. So this was a big article with lots of information. And I think, well, I'm jumping to the fluff, but that is, I think, my overall summary of what just occurred with the new funding. Okay, in December, there is so much to do in Tokyo, and I just thought I would show you this 800-meter walk of more than 600,000 blue LEDs. It's called the Blue Cave here in Tokyo, in the area called Shibuya, and this is one of the many, many, many illuminations that are so nice to experience, and they're always free, and it's just feels so seasonal. And if that's not what you want to do, well, Tokyo and Osaka actually have a big Santa run where thousands and thousands of people take part in this walk and run in a Santa outfit. This just happened, so I just wanted to include a picture. But I think what gets my attention are all of the flea markets. This is a big month. Actually, this is a big time for the open flea markets. There are some, 11 of them that occur in the Tokyo area. My favorite one is the Oedo that occurs outside next to the Tokyo Forum. And one of the things that you can find are these really wonderful early Showa and sometimes older Kokeshi dolls. Now, I know that a lot of the people that are watching this video, in fact, my numbers for women who watch actually went up a little over 6%, so that is really good. But most of you are not going to be interested in these Kokeshi dolls at all. The Kokeshi dolls, by the way, come from the Tohoku region of Japan, which is up north, and they are pretty special. I collect a very rare one that has a head that's in the shape of a calligraphy pen. So I couldn't even find a picture on the Google images to even show you that's how rare they are. And I have them tucked away safely, so I'm sorry I didn't get one out, but maybe that's for another fluffs. But if you are one of the guys in this space, you don't want to look at dolls, but you want to look at these Suba. And the Suba are the guards that are protecting the hand on the katana, the swords, and they are selling lots of them, and they are so collectible and so beautiful. And no, they're not really that expensive. Of course, they can be. It's all depending on condition and all depending on age and what they are made of. Some of them are made of bronze, some of them are made of copper, some are made of a combination, even some are have real gold. So it just depends. It's on a case-by-case basis, but they are all really spectacular. And if I gave you a range, I'd have to say from on the low side, maybe 150 US dollars, and on the high side, well, thousands and thousands. But you can, if you've got a budget of around $500 or $600 up to $1,000. Oh, your selection is going to be fabulous, and it's one of the things that you can find at these flea markets because there's a lot of really quality antique dealers too that frequent them. Anyway, I just thought that is something for you to do when you do come to Japan. So do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.